All right, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? My name is Ian Robinson. I am the senior ZBrush trainer here at Maxon, and today we are going to be going over some really cool new features and so forth. I see a ton of questions and stuff in the chat already, which is super awesome. So first off, yeah, we're going to be covering some ZBrush new features that are coming for both desktop and iPad. I will be joined shortly with my counterpart, Rodolfo Silva. He's just he's experiencing, unfortunately, a little technical difficulty, but he should be over in just a few minutes. So without further ado, how's everyone doing? How's it going? All right. So what we're gonna do, is go ahead and get into some good ZBrushy stuff. Actually,
hey,
Rodolfo, what's up, buddy?
How you guys doing? Hey, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yep, can hear you just fine, man. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yep.
So yeah, so I was just explaining to everybody we're going to be covering some new stuff. Paul won't be joining us with this one as we were already with the summit, and Paul does a lot of really important things in the background. So he will be not in this stream, but he's always with us in heart and all that good jazz. So yeah, what's happening? So all right. Yeah, it's great to see everybody. What's going on? So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with some desktop stuff because I figured, that might be a good way to get the ball rolling. What do you think, buddy?
I think it's up to you, man. Whatever. I think people will be blown away regardless. So we have a lot of stuff to show today. You know
we do.
So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start off.
Batul.
Hey, Batul, what's happening? Yay, you made it. Yep. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started with some desktop new features. So the features that are here are quite powerful, and it's actually changed my workflow. And I'm not just saying that. There's a lot of really cool workflow stuff. So we're going to start actually with one of my favorite features that actually may not be necessarily like a wow factor out the gate, but we're going to go into preferences. And what you might notice right here at the very top, when you go to preferences now under 2026.1, is called asset directory. So for the longest time, ZBrush had the ability, of course, to have custom UIs, which means you can obviously set your UI to any way you would like it, not just the way that you see it, but literally make your own from scratch, including hotkeys, plugins, brushes, etc. And before, at the very top, if we were to open up the lightbox by, here's for you, Paul, comma, hit that comma key, you come up to the top here, and you have your lightbox. But this lightbox might look the same until you take a look at the top left-hand side, where now you'll see a Maxon tab, and then you'll see a user tab. And if I go ahead and click the user tab, you'll be greeted, just like I am with it right now, with brand new install, that there's absolutely nothing here right now. But you notice that you have all the same folder types. We have projects, brushes, tools, textures. It's all empty right now. So let's get into why that's empty. So let's go up to preferences.
Whoops.
Let's go up to...
Wait. I switched your screen for some reason. I was sharing.
Oh, that's okay.
I started sharing. You have to add the state. Yep.
All right. Oh, so yeah, we're sharing your screen now. So let's just remove it. That's okay. That's okay. You want to steal the scene? I get it, buddy. I get it.
I don't want to steal the show, man. Don't put me in jail.
All right. So let's go up to preferences. Open up asset directory, and we're going to go ahead and start with open directory. Now, there already is a ton of tutorials that Rodolfo and I had already covered on this topic, so those are available now. But of course, you get to ask questions with this whole thing, and that's the whole point of it. So, so I open up the asset directory, and I go to the folder, and right now you're going to notice that I have this whole folder set up, and it's a lot shorter than what you might think it is. So I have Lightbox, I have Quick Save, Redshift, Startup. I got a whole bunch of stuff here, but notice it's very, very short. And that is because it's in a brand new location. If we were to go to the old way of doing it, which is open up our, go into our C drive, or if you're on Mac, go into your applications, double tap for me, open, thank you. Go into my program files, and then come into my ZBrush 2026. This is where you would usually set all of your settings, but this is now changed. This list is a lot shorter, and this is where all the pre-installed Maxon stuff is. All of your new brushes, all your features, all your plugins, all now go into this new setup here. And this will automatically be created when you start up ZBrush. And you obviously have the newest version. So by doing this now, what we can do is go into our Z start here, And this is where you're going to start loading in a bunch of stuff. So if you have your custom UIs or you have your custom hotkeys, this is now where you would end up putting that stuff. Same thing with brushes. Over here, you wouldn't actually put it in brush preset. You'd actually go back to the main folder and go to your light box. And from here, this is now where you would put your brushes, your light caps, your materials, all of that stuff. Now, I'm going to skip just installing a bunch of stuff because there's actually something that's even cooler than this, just being able to have a new directory. The cool part about this, and especially if you're somebody who's at a university, so if you're a teacher or if you have a big student lab licensing, or if you're at a work and your work and everybody has their own custom UIs and stuff like that. So you want to be able to set up multiple folders for multiple people so then people can just load in their exact settings and not mess with everything. So the way to do that would be to go to preferences, and now we can go to what's called change location. And if we do this, now what we can do is we can go into a folder that we absolutely want. So let's just say, actually come here. I'm going to go to my external drive, and you can see here I created a folder called Ian ZBrush settings. And if I go ahead and click this one, now see, it already has all these folders in. That's because I created this in the beginning. So I would say here, I'm going to click this one. I'm going to say select folder. And now it's going to ask me to restart ZBrush. So we're just going to do that live on the fly. So yep, I'm going to restart ZBrush. Let's go ahead and do that. You get to look at my beautiful Windows screen as we start up. And essentially what's going to happen now is when I come in here, it's going to reload. Let's just open up a project. Now, if I come here to preferences, go to asset directory, and then I say open directory, now it's actually set up in my own settings. And here is where I have things kind of pre-installed. So I do have some brushes I brought over. So big fan of 3D Character Workshop, Henry Cervantes brushes, SK brushes, etc. So I brought those in. And now we can see that. If I were to open up my lightbox, again, hidden that comma key, go to my user, and now if I go to brushes, you can see here that now I have things installed exactly as I want. And this is one of the bigger changes that have just occurred in 2026.1. And this is going to make it a lot easier for you guys to, again, save your UI settings, your hotkeys, your favorite brushes, your favorite materials. And all of this can be stored on a completely different hard drive. So then you can access it whenever you need, and you can have as many folders as you want. Now, before I look at the chat and actually look at questions, and of course, Rodolfo, if you see any questions, feel free to just jump in. But the last thing I want to cover here is the fact that when we change locations, it's going to create new folders for you, but it won't have the ability to just copy and paste things in from one folder to another. So what do I mean by that? So if I go to preferences and say change location, but this time I'm going to go ahead and say this is my stream settings, because I'm weird like that, boom, whatever, and I can't even spell, so stream settings. If I were to go ahead and create a new folder and say create folder, it's going to go ahead and say, okay, that's fine, restart ZBrush. So we're going to do that. And then let's go ahead and reopen it. And now what ZBrush is doing is it's rebuilding all the necessary folders for you to start installing stuff. Because again, the idea here is that you only need one folder for yourself, and then everybody just gets their own kind of folder now. So if I were to, again, come in here, go up to my asset directory, and now open that directory, it's going to be in a new setting, and it created all the necessary folders. But now these are new folders, so we would just need to now install the things that we want to do. So this is actually really cool, super important, because again, a lot of schools have asked for this, a lot of workplaces have asked for this, and also you guys have asked for it too, even as hobbyists who are just like, I have all my favorite brushes in one location, I have everything I need, can I just keep it there and have it always load? And the answer is yes.
Guys, this is a game changer already for me. For example, coming in and having even Ian, like we use multiple versions of ZBrush, right? And we have to transfer over our stuff. We have to transfer over our stuff from versions, different beta versions as well. But obviously, for you guys, like I have an older version. I have all my brushes, all my UIs, all my hotkeys, all my alphas, whatever. And now I have to manually transfer all of this, and it's just boring, right? And it takes time. It's not something people like to do. So all you have to do now is just change that location when you install. We do a fresh install of ZBrush. Just change that location to that folder that you have. You might put it on your, I don't know, your desktop or whatever. And you always use that same folder just to put all your assets. You buy assets, let's say brushes online, or you buy alphas, or you get your own alphas and make your own alphas. You just store it, everything in the same folder. And then in ZBrush, all you need to do is tell ZBrush where's the location of that folder. That's a huge time saver already, right?
Yeah, huge one. We had a question that popped in here real quick. So if I wanted to move, I imagine you quit ZBrush, then the Finder Explorer, rename the folder, and the update brands. Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, yeah, if you wanted to move your stuff, basically wherever you have your things located. So if I were to, for example, I have a folder over here called ZBrush Assets, and this is where I have all of my brushes. Basically, in theory, once you create, well, not in theory, in actuality, I don't know why I said in theory, because I'm just weird like that.
In theory and in practice.
Yeah, so once you create this folder exactly where you want it to be, then you go ahead and just start loading your stuff on over there. So as an example, I have my Z startup and I have my Z plugins. Now I have a bunch of, plugins that I've brought into here, which I'll show you as well here in a second where those are going to be showcased. But yeah, you just essentially just copy and paste it. What's really cool about this, let's say you create, let's say you install it and then you start loading stuff in and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I loaded everything into that basic folder. Now I wanted to take those same things and just, create it in a new folder. Just copy paste it into the new one. It's really simple. If I wanted to take all of this stuff here, just come down here and copy this, and then come into your, to your new one and just paste it. And then just say, yeah, replace the assets. Then it's going to bring everything over, which would include, if I go back to Lightbox, go back to brushes, now it's going to bring over those brushes. So you can easily just copy paste the things that you've already moved into one folder into another, making it essentially easy for you to do that. So for example, when I worked at Funko, there was a bunch of us who used the same brushes all the time. So imagine now it's like, oh, well, I need my own UI. I have my own hotkeys, but I need all the same brushes. I just go into the main hub, copy the brush folder and move it on over into mine. And now I have all the brushes just like anybody else. So it's just a really good way to keep things organized. But also the reason why we wanted to bring this up is because if you made plugins in the past, let's say from 2025 and back, even in 2022, if you've made plugins, the thing to be aware of is now what is in the directory is going to happen, because things are going to be loaded a little bit differently. Because I showed you those plugins, usually when you bring in plugins, you automatically gets recognized under Z plugin, and it usually puts it in some alphabetical order for you. Now, the way this is going is that all the plugins that ZBrush ships with actually get loaded first. And then right after my famous Z color that always blows people's minds, right after the Z color one, it's going to move into your now plugins that you've installed. So all the custom plugins that don't necessarily ship with ZBrush, or the ones that you've made, now they'll load here at the bottom, which is, in my opinion, is a little bit easier to actually find where they are, because I'm like, oh, I know Z startup utility. That's my plugin that I bring in, and I love this plugin. So immediately I know that's going to be towards the bottom. IMM is going to be, draw size is going to be towards the bottom, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just going to make it a lot easier to clean up. Now, real quick, the last button is reset to default. Let's say you need to just, go ahead and just kind of set everything back to basics for whatever reason. Clicking this will do exactly that. It will link it back to the original folder that it installed at the time you installed ZBrush, but it won't delete any of your actual folders. So any folder that you've had, let's say off over here, these folders here, they're going to stay here. These won't get deleted. So you can always reset it to default and then reconnect things or reset up a new thing if you needed to, and then just relink when you're done.
Yep.
So yeah, this one's really cool for me. Let me check the chat. Make sure.
I don't see anything. There's a access restriction. I'm not sure what they're referring to. Access restriction. You're talking about framing the camera with the gizmo. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that one means. Okay, cool.
They said it was going. Okay, Linux. No, that's something we can't comment right now. We've unveiled with what we unveiled, and you'll have to stay tuned for more, basically.
Transform palette axis restriction. Okay, we'll take a look at that here in a second. Okay, great. So that was the first feature. Any questions on that feature before we move in to the next one?
Can plugins be arranged in alphabetical order? So they seem to be in random order. That's a question we got over here.
So all the plugins, so if we look at the plugins here, for example, so the plugins here, they are actually in alphabetical order. So it starts off with 3D Print Hub, then Ambient Occlusion, Bevel, okay, I guess here we go, Destination Master. Okay, I lied to you. There are a few that are just kind of weird. These are actually the way they are actually installed based on how they're ordered. But for the most part, I would say mostly, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
just
the custom ones, the custom ones will, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing here to note is just that at the very bottom under Z color is where yours will be, and these look to be in alphabetical order. So, but yeah, the My Blend Shapes and Destination Master one that could be flipped around, but no big deal.
Transform palette axis restriction. So if you're talking about having different axes for you're talking about symmetry, right? That is already on the iPad. You have that ability. Also radial symmetry and all that. So all
right, let's move on to
the next. I think
one.
let's move on, and then I'll interrupt you if there's something specific on that feature. I think
sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, the next one. We're saving the best for last, by the way, guys. Just FYI. The next one is actually going to be the way IMM brushes are looked at in currently. So right now, if we were to just take B for brush, I for IMM, and then of course we have T for IMM primitives, you might notice here that we have this list up here at the very top. There it is, sound effects included. So the list up here at the top, and it has all of your assets that the IMM brush is. And we all know here that if we drag one out and then, oh, I wanted a different one, let me turn on the gizmo, let me go ahead and use the arrow key and just start making the different, choosing my right mesh. Okay, this is cool. But what if you have a massive brush? What if you have a brush that has like hundreds of assets in it, right? For example, this IMM gun part. Well, this is crazy. So one of the things that usually you can do with ZBrush is go ahead and hit M, and you can have this list of things, making it a lot easier to look at. But this is still like, again, a big menu to look at. And while it's easy to go like, oh, yep, that's the one I want, great. We were thinking, what's an easier way to keep organized? And so what we've now come up with is actually IMM foldering. So I'm going to load a brush first. So let's go up here to brush, and then let's go ahead and load brush, because I have one already pre-built so I can show you what it is, and then I'll show you how to make it. So if we come here to my new menu, and now I just recreated the insert primitive folder, which, by the way, if you guys use the download link that's in the description, you can actually get access to this brush right away and some of the scans and stuff that we'll be talking about in a little bit. But if I now open this up here, might be a little bit hard to see on stream, so let's go ahead and get our nice little gizmo. Now we have an all folder, and then the folders that I can pick from that I can actually have control over and name. So I can say, like, I only want to look at cubes. I only want to look at my spheres or my capsules, even though there's only one, or my cylinders, right? These are things now that you can quickly folder them. You can still hit M and take a look at everything, because that's very important. But now you could be like, I just need to look at something. And one of the new features we'll be talking about a little bit more in depth, the Retopo feature, which is coming here in a few minutes. This takes advantage of that. And of course, you can create your own. So how do we create our own? So let's go ahead and let's just open up a quick project to kind of show it off. And let's go ahead and use the demo soldier, because the demo soldier has a little bit of parts. So here, for example, I have my demo soldier, and I want to turn him into a custom IMM brush because I'm cool like that. So all we need to do is just use the subtool foldering system. So if I were to say rename and put demo soldier, I'm going to say that this is going to be body parts. And I'm so used to doing underscores, but we don't have to. So body parts, I just renamed him. Let's put a folder in there. Let's do that. Yay. So body parts. Yes, there we go. And then I can put him into body parts, right? Now, here's a foldering trick if you guys don't know. If I turn on the gizmo and then turn on the pizza box, which is AKA the transpose all selected subtools, which is a mouthful. So the pizza box. If I go ahead and select that, and then I can actually come through, hold Control Shift and do my selection. I can let go and do Alt for not selecting and just have everything deselected. And of course, I can easily come through and say, you know what, I want to hide the body, and I'm going to want to hide the accessories here. Now I'm selecting them first. I do see that, but that's okay. So we're just going to first do this. And then I'm going to go ahead and just Control Shift drag to, sorry, not Control Shift drag. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to come through, select the things I want, say yes, 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 yes. Okay. And then if I just Control Shift tap to inverse that, that's going to show me what's visible. So I did want to have these here like this. There we go. And I don't want to hide, I don't want the shirt yet. There we go. I just want these to be accessories. So when I have the things that are selected, I can just hit Control F. And because I have some of my subtools selected, I could say yes and always folder this, and then I can call this accessories. And you guys are going to watch me not spell things correctly. Cool. And then from here, we could just create another folder, and we can call this close. Okay.
Control F is the short key for creating new folders, by the way, in case you guys didn't catch that. So basically, if you have the transpose set selected, create new folders with different subtools, just super fast and super easy. We get that question a lot, actually, when people ask about that. Oh, do I have to manually insert every subtool? What if I have 120 subtools? It's a hard surface piece or something. It's just that easy to just select a bunch of meshes, a bunch of subtools, maybe your booleans as well, right? I'll combine them to one, and then just create a new folder, and ZBrush will do the rest for you.
Exactly. So this is now I have the folders. Thanks for that, buddy. Always appreciate you. So yeah, so now I have these foldered up, and I have all my various pieces in there, et cetera, et cetera. So all I need to do, it's really crazy, is come up here to the brush, go to create, and say just create insert multi-mesh. Or you can go B for brush, come down here to the bottom and say create multi-mesh, and then or insert multi-mesh. And as soon as I do that, it's automatically going to folder that for you. And so there you go. Makes it really simple, really easy. The reason, it's like organization even better now, because it's just so much more helpful to be like, I just need to look at my accessories, or I just need to look at my clothing. Because again, when you're looking at, the brushes here, as I hit every other key than what I mean to, it's the morning ones. It's the morning guys. For me, doing this is always so crazy, right? And even hitting M sometimes, you're just looking at a lot. So we really wanted to bring a much better experience to this. And of course, too, we're looking at ways to improve this, even for like VDM brushes and so forth. But for right now, IM brushes got a foldering system, and it's really simple, easy to make your own. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and answer this one because I'm brave like that. Yeah, so you could do this with the FJ Tools 1.5 plugin, but there's the key word you just said, plugin. It was not native. It was an algorithm that was built specifically for that. So now we do that natively, so you don't have to worry about doing, installing a plugin to just do a thing. Some of the things we've been looking at for ZBrush is always, of course, a quality of life improvement, and plugins ruled the world for the longest time, but it's like, now we want to start cleaning things up and moving things in a direction that makes sense. So this way, you don't need that plugin anymore. You can just do it natively, which is always good. It's also just a really nice way to just, again, keep things organized.
Yep. Cool.
Cool.
We haven't gotten to the fleshy part yet, but you guys are already excited, right?
Yeah. I mean, the copy paste actually translate IMM brushes from one folder to another. In what folder do you paste them in? Were you talking about for the IMM meshes from one brush folder to another? So in previous, if I'm understanding your question correctly, the foldering here, you're just moving them into the proper subtool folder that you want to have create up here at the top. This folder right here, the close, is, of course, down here, the same closed one. If you wanted to add things to this, it's the same as you would before, going in and then just saying that you can go ahead and copy your meshes like you can before to the mesh. From a mesh, you can pull from a mesh, you can put it into a mesh. You can always create into the folder, just like you could in previous times. It's just now you're getting a foldering system for that. So if I understand the question correctly, then yeah, it's just as simple as making your folder, putting your asset in there, and then you can always add to it later.
Yep.
When I copy and paste meshes from folder to folder. Yes, yeah, just paste them in the active folder and then just recreate your brush and you're fine. Yes.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, cool. Real quick, I see this isn't part of this is a question that actually has a support ticket. We'll go ahead and I'll make note of this. Actually, Rodolfo, can you write down that support ticket? And then we can just, help. We can, let somebody know you have a ticket for them. Somebody is, I'm sure, is working on it for you.
Okay.
All right. Okay, fine. All right, here we go. Retopo time. Retopo time. There we go. Cool. Well, I have a special character I'm going to load for this guy because.
So you want to start with the basics and then how do we do this? Like desktop, right? We start with the desktop because again, I've been seeing a lot of comments from you guys saying that oh, is this like an iPad only? The only thing that's iPad only, which we just revealed, is the scanning feature, right? This is also coming, right? What Ian's showing is all on the iPad as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Well, the asset directory obviously it's different because it's an iPad, right? But we're more and more trying to make more features that go on both, right? So whatever you're seeing here, it can easily be applied on the iPad, right?
So what we're going to do is I'm going to start off. I'll cover the basics, and then I know Rodolfo really wants to get into the advanced stuff because he goes nuts. So I will pass the torch.
I'm just excited for this,
over.
man.
This is my last
cheer you on. I'll cheer you on.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and hit B for brush. Let's go ahead and hit R for Retopo, and there she is, Retopo. Boom. And by the way, big IMM folders, right? Again, 228 brushes inside this brush because it's not just a brush, it's a feature, right? So I'm going to hit E, and so this brush automatically takes hold of that foldering system. So you can see here at the very top, I have everything. There's a ton. Now, all of these too, what I want to do is actually shout out the beta team, because the beta team who, was going through and like really pushing this, because we had a lot of professionals take a look at this feature and what it can do. They actually helped build a lot of this stuff and came in and worked with us closely with this. So shout out to them for all the work that they did, all of the bug testing, etc. Seriously, it was really helpful. So they helped create a lot of different patches to make our lives a lot easier. And then again, we have the foldering here, which is, again, if you just need human parts for your character, then here you go. We have an ear, we have eyes, we have basic, etc. We're going to get into the patch system here in a little bit, but for right now, how do we start retopoing? Again, we do have some tutorials, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just look at the fact that I have all these subtools here. Okay, and they're all different. So here you go. I'm going to explode them. There's a reason why I'm exploding it, because this is the cool part about this. So wherever I want to retopo, usually I do this towards the top, where I'll just go up to the very top part here, and I grab my Retopo brush, and all I do is I touch anywhere on my mesh, and I'm going to get a pop-up. And this is the same thing on iPad. It's going to ask me, do I want to create a new Retopo mesh, or do I want to convert the current mesh to a Retopo mesh? Now, if I say yes, it's going to create a new Retopo mesh, and that's what we're going to be doing. If we do have something like, let's say, we had clean topology that we brought in, but we need to edit, then we can turn that into a Retopo mesh. And all a Retopo mesh is a special subtool that sees everything that is visible and can actually interact with it, which no other subtool can do. So what do I mean by that? So here, if I go ahead and say yes, it's now going to put everything in a transparency, and it's going to turn off ghost, because this is what ghost looks like, and no one wants to retopo this. So if we turn off ghost, we get this transparency here for this guy. And out the gate, you'll notice that already I'm in symmetry. I don't even have to hit X for this. I'm automatically in symmetry here. I can just hit X if I'm not in symmetry, but of course I can go ahead and start there. Now, all of these were different subtools. My face, my ears, my eyes, everything is a different subtool. But what you'll notice this subtool has is orange dotted dashes, right, around it. It's a box. And this is just to separate what you're looking at from every other subtool. This will help me identify the Retopo subtool immediately. And then now I want to get started, right? So let's start retopoing this guy. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to place a couple dots around here. Now I'm already starting off pretty small, but that's okay. That's totally fine. So I'm just going to put some dots here, and then I'm going to put some dots up here because I love pushing dots. Now, one of the things you'll notice, right, is if I go ahead and hit the space bar, it's going to open up a draw size for me, and I can hover over, and it's going to go ahead and just like allow me to tap, tap, tap if I would like to. I can go ahead and undo that if I needed to, if I made a mistake. I could also pick a point and move it. So if I needed to just come through and say like, yeah, this is a better position, or I don't like this dot, so I'm just going to press and hold Alt and start deleting points, I can move these and edit them as I need to. They're completely editable for what I'm trying to do. Now, I'm going to go ahead and press and hold the space bar, and I'm going to sneak peek this because I think this is cool. Rodolfo can go into it a little bit more, but one of the advanced settings is just holding the space bar and dragging. And then boom, I have my mesh. I'll let you get into more advanced stuff, but notice it's absolutely snapping to my character and these points. So this is one of the very first ways that we can go ahead and start retopoing, which is great. Okay. The second thing here.
Wait, but there's more.
There is more. There's a lot more. This is going to be a big one. That's why we're going to break this up into parts. But like I said, it's looking at all the different visible meshes that are here. And this is what's really neat about it, is that every time I go ahead and just put some points down, it's going to go ahead and, oh, look, I have my brush. I'm holding my brush, but unfortunately right now it's not big enough. That's okay. So if I press and hold the space bar, I can either come up here to my draw size and make it bigger, or while pressing the space bar, I can just hit S and I can make that bigger or smaller. And then from here, I can go ahead and say, you know what, this needs to be bigger. And then boom, perfect. Come through and then add another dot and do this. Now, what you're not noticing, or sorry, what I failed to call out because I'm just kind of excited, is that I have two brush sizes. The spacebar is showing me the second brush size. The very first one for me is actually quite small. If I hit S without hitting the spacebar, this is my second draw size. This is so then I can move things around as needed. I can grab an edge, I can grab a point, right? I can grab in between. I can even grab a face and I can move that face, and it's always going to be snapping. Pressing and holding the space bar is my secondary draw size. I prefer the first one to be really small because literally I just need to get close to a point and move it, or press and hold Alt if I need to extrude something, right? I can press and hold Alt, hover over that edge, and I can extrude. So my first draw size really for me doesn't need to be very big at all. It just needs me to be able to do it. So I have that really, really small. Pressing, holding the space
you have
bar,
that option as a user, right?
Right, which we'll get into. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but then the second draw size is going to be there so I can start laying down all of my points exactly as I need it to be, right? So this is something that is really, really helpful and really cool.
Sorry, I had to highlight that one.
Yeah.
Draw on steroids.
Exactly.
Basically what it is. Oh, you haven't seen that? Nothing yet. Just wait a little bit. Just sit tight, hold on to your seat, and enjoy the ride.
This is the basic features here. Yes. So again, I actually just quickly touched on it, but what if I need to extrude points or edges? Totally fine. So I can hover over an edge. I can go ahead and press and hold Alt, and I can start dragging. And what I want you guys to notice is that it will snap. Let's actually get in here. Let's zoom all the way in. Yes, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and drag this out. And as soon as it's close to that point, it's going to snap, making that watertight. So that way we can make sure that everything is good as we need it to be. Now let's go ahead and back out. There we go. Zoom in. I just went ahead and pressed Alt. If you guys don't know, if you Alt tap another subtool, that's how you can quick select another subtool. No. So I just Alt tapped the mesh underneath, but there we go. Now the other thing too is you can actually extrude a vertice as well. You can extrude a vertice. So let's say I just need to start looping points. So let's say, you know, I have something like this and I come through, make this bigger. So I had these guys right here, but now I want to just start extruding edges. Absolutely, I could just come in and start extruding those edges. I can also extrude an edge from 2 connecting points, and if I let go of Alt, I can quickly make a triangle and make that really simple. I can also come through here and I can just start really extruding stuff. If I let go of, if I hold Alt, I'm going too fast for my own britches, I apologize. So if I press and hold Alt and I drag out while holding Alt, it's just going to be like a massive triangle. If I let go of Alt, it's going to give me the edge, giving me 2 triangles in that point. Makes it a lot easier to go through all that if you need a triangle in any way, shape, or form. So you're able to extrude edges, you're able to extrude the actual points, making things a lot easier and just working with your Retopo as fast as possible. So already, like, we could have had his face retopoed by the time it took me to explain all this, but really wanted to showcase a lot of these basic functions.
Cool. Well, show them
Okay.
how connecting extruding points work. Like if you extrude one point with 2 triangles and then extrude another one, ZBrush
How
will
about I
interpret
let
that.
you take it?
Oh, okay.
Let's have you
Wait,
do it.
let me
I've had the
just
stage this whole time, so I'm going to let you go for it, buddy. Oh wait,
Hey, am
hey,
I back? Oh, hi.
you're
Sorry.
frozen. As soon as I'm like, you take it, you're like, and we're frozen.
Nope. Bye.
There you go.
Wait,
You're
let me
on.
just shift this back to the iPad. For some reason, my reflector app just died. So let me just
Oh, okay.
mirror my screen again. There we go. Let me
When
get this code again. 3080. There we go.
So here, I'll answer this
And
question. Can you delete faces in a simple way? Absolutely. All you need to do is hover over a face, press and hold Alt, and just start deleting. Now, here's something that's really cool. So notice I deleted all those faces, but we have all these points here. These points, we leave them there for you because maybe when you're deleting stuff, you're deleting a couple faces. You're like, okay, yeah, that stuff right there is all good and in the hood, but what if I needed to, you know, what if I needed to do something else? What's important about this is that as you delete a face, we leave that point because maybe you're just trying to reconnect things, and you can always extrude out an edge and then have it connect to an existing point. So maybe we need to just like have these points connect instead of just the way it was looping. So we do allow for you when you delete stuff, we leave those points there. But let's say you've deleted a bunch of stuff. You're like, I'm just literally starting over with my life. There you go. And now I want to delete all these points. All you need to do is press and hold Control and just drag a mask anywhere, and that will get rid of all of those points. So just Control drag outside of the character, not even really outside the character, just Control drag away from any known points, and it will delete those points for you. So that's another easy way. So yeah, Alt tap to delete any faces you don't want, Control drag to delete any points that you don't want that haven't been used yet.
cool.
All right. And
I'm
yes,
ready, buddy.
sorry, real quick. Yes, you can alter the transparency as if you
Yeah.
wanted to come in and turn on ghost and turn off. Like you could, with the transparency, turn off and on ghost. You could do that as well. But yeah, that's one way you could do it. All right, I've stolen the stage long enough. I apologize, my friends. Get you up there.
It's okay, man. Yeah, I'm just here to cheer for you, man. And you know how I am. So,
There you
yeah, so
go.
I'm using this little app. So this is not my real iPad. We're not there yet. We can't just morph our physical objects into the screen. But what you're looking at is actually a 3D scan. But I'm not going to jump into that right now. We're still in the Retopo brush. I'm going to show you in a little bit. What I wanted to show is that, for example, I have this retopoed topology over here. Let's say like this subtool, and again, this is all it's all feature paired, right, between the desktop and the iPad. So everything you're seeing me doing on the iPad, you will also have access to on the desktop, and vice versa, right? And so if we have this retopology subtool over here, and let me just hide a bunch of them. We don't need all of them, actually. So let's do that, right? And I'm going to turn on that real quick. And if we hover over a point, like Ian was saying, you can actually extrude this by holding Alt. Whoops. Give me a second. By holding Alt and dragging that point, you can extrude that. Can you guys see? Like, is this clear enough on stream?
A little bit. It's a little small. But
yeah, that's a problem. All right. So if you do this and then let go of Alt, and again, as you can see that my Alt key is being pressed on, and it's turning on and off that quad versus triangle mode. And if I let go, we have two triangles, right? Now, the issue is, and let me be a little more clear. Let me go over here because there's a particular edge loop that goes and flows around this. So let's say I want to have a different edge flow to this. Whoops, that was my fingers are just all over the screen today. Whoa, I'm giving you guys nausea. Look at that. Ooh, crazy. So let's say we have this edge flow over here, right? And I want to start, let's say, doing another edge flow that goes around this. So what I can do is I can hold Alt and drag this point, let go of Alt, and now we have two triangles. But now if I do that to the next point, the same thing. So Alt drag, if I let go, it's just going to be a quad versus two triangles. But if I do this and Alt drag and then let go of Alt, you could see the result would be four triangles, right? So we would have a triangle there, a triangle over there, and then in the middle, you'll have two triangles. But ZBrush will detect that, and if you let go, it transforms that into a quad. This effectively means that you can keep doing this, and you're just making a different edge loop going around. Whoops, wrong. Hold Alt. Come on. Hold Alt and drag that, let go. There we go. And you can effectively do and change your edge flow on the fly just by extruding those points one by one, right? Now, if we're talking about edge flows, right, I think this is a nice segue where we can go and talk a little bit about, whoops, my camera just got frozen there for a second. I don't know. Everything's coming apart, falling apart here. I don't know what's happening. Am I cursed or something? I don't know. So let's talk about a different way how you can do and manage and create topology, right? So Ian talked about the whole good old, start creating points, and then maybe you redirect this over here or something, and then you hold spacebar, and you can see we have this blue temporary polygon, and this is obviously related to your draw size. On the iPad, however, you have the ability with your Apple Pencil Pro to just hover over that draw size and rotate your Apple Pencil. And you can see this is what's going on, right? So I'm just rotating my Apple Pencil while my spacebar is on. And as I'm doing this now, you can see the coverage is a little different. If I make it small enough, but not too small, and I cover just a triangle, I can also just create triangles over there, right? So this is also another thing that we have access to. Now, the alternate way that we can go about creating edge flows, and this I know is Ian's favorite method, right? I understand that this is Ian's favorite method, and it's just even basically instead of just tapping to create the points, we can actually hold Alt beforehand and then just drag a line on our surface, right? And if we let go, this is a temporary line, meaning that it's nothing yet. There's no edges, there's no points, right? And then if we drag another line, it's just going to create that. So we can do this, for example, just start designing edge flow and edge loops. And then when you're ready, you can just tap that surface and there you go. And now it's ready topology, right?
Yep.
And another cool thing, before I even move on to the whole like moving and settings and all of that, because we saw a few people saying, oh, this is kind of like quad draw in a sense. And yeah, we're going to touch upon a lot of stuff. This is a lot to unpack, right? It's a huge brush with a lot of potential and a lot of complexity, but it's also fairly simple and approachable to use, which is great. So if we keep doing this, let's say I'm dragging a line here, I'm dragging this edge flow, and now I'm like, oh, I wish I could add two of them at once, right? So instead of doing basically one and then another and then attach them together and merge them, we added the ability to just drag on one of those edges, and now you can just add edge loops on the fly. And now if I draw another line, you can see it already has those points that then allows it to connect seamlessly with the other edgeloops that I had with this temporary polygon. And this also works with these over here. So I can go and add one over there, and then I can also move them, right? So I can go over here and move them. I can't move the inner points, but I can move the outer points and the edges, right? So this is super powerful, particularly if you're working on any model that requires a specific edge flow, and maybe you haven't really figured out the edge flow, so you want to try out a bunch of different loops, right? Because the quad draw mode, to me, coming also from other applications doing retopology, and then also ZBrush with the topology brush and ZModeler and all of that. Sometimes I do understand what the topology edge flows should be, like if I'm retopologizing a human face. But sometimes on assets such as this, which is a rock, which is sort of organic, but not really. I just learned the term the other day. It's inorganic, right? And I'll be repeating this the whole week. Sorry, man.
We all learn new terms. That's cool.
Inorganic, right? Learning new things every day. So the inorganic shapes are basically hard surface, but the edge flow is not that straightforward. It really depends on from rock to rock, right? And here I am talking about rocks again. Damn it,
I
man.
told you it would be. Real quick. While you're talking about rocks, I don't want to derail you, but this question's super important, and it was just
Right.
shortly on what you were talking about. So when you draw those temporary lines, do you have to do them in order? Because like if he draws like a, if this person draws a 90-degree increment, then fill in the in-between lines, will it create the face correctly? This is great because the answer is yes, you do need to create them in an order. So if you could showcase that real quick.
Yeah, so basically, here's the thing. If I get the question right, if you drag with the Alt key and you have, let's just reduce this so it's easier to see, and you start dragging like this, and now let me see if I get this right. You want now to extrude another one over there, right? You want to start drawing like this, and it just connects to there. That is not possible because ZBrush is looking at the edge flow in order as well to do this, right? So it needs to understand what's the point order between those different edges. If that is the I don't know if that was the question.
No, that's the question. Can I elaborate for a quick second and then I'll give it back to you?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm a thief. It's totally fine. So yeah. So the idea here is like what Rodolfo's saying is that we want to be able to quickly get loops in the area that we want things to. So again, if we add a bunch of points here, I need to do it in this correct order. I need to go in like this. I need to start moving it and over so then it creates it in the correct order. Boom, crashed. Love it.
Oh no.
It's okay, guys. It happens even to us professionals. So yeah, you do need to put it in the correct order in order for it to work. Thank you, ZBrush. Okay, cool. It's not a teaching moment if it's not a crash. FYI. So yeah, so you need to put it into the perspective order in order to make it so that it does it correctly, because ZBrush needs to look at that. Yeah. So you need to kind of come through here and make sure that you're doing this, because like Rodolfo said, if you then come over here, it's kind of hard to see, but notice this giant line that showed up over here. It's now trying to connect this edge to this edge, and you're going to get flipped normals, colliding, everything's going to go wrong for you. So yeah, so what you want to do is make sure that you put it in the correct edge flow so that it's going to follow that every single time. So yeah, you just want to, it's meant for you to do stuff like this, just kind of create that path quickly and then create the topology.
Yeah, I like to call it the edge flow.
Oh
no, you hit me. There you go.
Sorry, wrong button.
Here I am. Sorry. But yeah, I like to call it the edge flow tool because it's just faster to just do a loop, right? A loop around a certain particular shape or form. But with that in mind, again, it's not like they're two separate tools. That's why they're packed into the same brush, right? So you're using that in conjunction with everything else. And that's the big difference, right? Is because in other applications, all of these tools are like their own separate like ecosystem in a sense, right? We're trying to make it as easy and as smooth as possible for artists who don't want to spend, a ton of time just figuring out math, basically, which is retopology, right? And most people actually hate retopology because of this, right? Because it takes a lot of brain power just to understand, like, okay, and it's boring, right? We want to make it fun and interactive. So maybe now I would like to start doing, I don't know, something like this, right? And then I'm like, oh, wait, tap on the surface, and maybe I want to start extruding that. And, oh, I don't want this many edge loops, so maybe I want more, like I want more edge loops to extrude like this, and then they connect as well, right? So this is the whole point, right? And I'm teasing here a little bit, and we're gonna
zoom in and just show it off. Go for it. That's
Okay.
what they want.
So, yeah,
Zoom
so
all the way in.
basically, right.
Do
Let me see if I can change that setting over here, because this is a pain. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there we go. I want to get rid of this frame over here. Does it allow me to go? Oh, this is the most it allows me to do. I'm like, whatever. So yeah, but if I zoom in, you can see that what I'm doing is, okay, I came up with this edge flow and that edge flow over there. So now I'm going to use that in conjunction with stuff like this edge extrude or the point extrude, and then snap. And then I'm like, okay, I don't want this. I want more, less edge loops, let's say, around the new topology. But I also want to extrude more than one edge, like let's say 2 of them, right? So now I can go over here and snap that. And now I can also, and here's another tease for another feature. We added a smooth brush, a new smooth brush, which is the smooth retopology brush, which basically allows you to smooth the surface and it's still snapping on the surface. And guys, this is something that you're like, okay, this is just a smooth brush. There's a lot of software that have this, but here's the thing. In ZBrush, this is working across multiple subtools, regardless of how many subtools you have, right? So even if you're smoothing, if you're making points, if you're dragging those, if you're using what I like to call, it's going to become my official name now, the edge flow brush, everything that you're seeing here, it's snapping across the subtools. If you have like a hard surface mesh with like 150 subtools, it's still snapping to all of those subtools. You don't need to actually activate anything in order for this to work. And this is a major, major game changer. Guys, trust me, coming from games, this is going to like improve, like it's going to speed up your workflow at least 10 times. Like just the ability to not have to scroll through menus just to do all of this, right? That's a big, big change, and it's major. Now, if we go through this and I keep smoothing, right? And then I let go of the smooth, that's smooth alt. And you can see, because as I'm smoothing, it's not really affecting the border of that topology. If I wanted to affect it, I would let go of the smooth button while my Apple Pencil Pro or your Wacom pen tablet or a ZenSlabs pen tablet is activated or engaged on the screen. You let go of the shift, and now it's affecting the border. Now, for this scenario, you'd want to have a different Z intensity for your smooth brush, right? So this is just a little overview of how you would use both workflows. It's not like one or the other, right? I don't want you guys to think, oh, I either do this like the quad draw mode or I do this with the green line thing. The idea is that it's one brush because it's just giving you that freedom and that power to use everything in conjunction with the patch system, which I'm going crazy. I'm getting ahead of myself here, man. I'm putting the cart in front of the horse. You know,
you're good. You're good. We have a couple questions here. Again, we know this is a lot. I dropped a playlist of for the tutorials in the chat, and we'll drop it again here. But for example, we have this question by Skyri. If you have a piece that is compromised of multiple meshes, can you retopo without it clipping through the underlying mesh? So the Retopo brush is looking at all of the visible subtools at the time that you entered the Retopo mesh. So it's always going to snap to the surface of the visible mesh that you're looking at. So it's not going to clip through it. It's actually going to detect it. Whether you're smoothing, you're moving points, moving faces or edges, every time you go through, it's constantly updating to snap to those underlying meshes. So you shouldn't get any clipping through whatsoever. It can absolutely do that.
Guys, if you experience any of those issues, again, we have support tickets. Just communicate with us. We're here to hear you.
I think that was just a question.
Yeah. But if you find any of these issues, like, oh, it's clipping, it's whatever, we're always open to hearing feedback. So you guys can just talk to us and we'll take it from there. We either show you how it's working or maybe it's something you're missing, right? From our tutorials and whatever. But if it's not, there's a lot that we can do. And we hear your feedback,
we have this question here too. Does the Retopo brush allow you to create loops around cylinder edges in one go? The answer is yes to this. So I just kind of stole the stage back, apologies. But here, if I needed to extrude, so I have the dog here and I have these points. So if I needed to just go ahead and extrude a single edge like this, if I tap Alt, it's going to go ahead and extrude a complete loop all the way around. And if I needed to go ahead and add an edge loop, I just go ahead and hover over that edge, press and hold the space bar to go ahead and do that. And that's going to go ahead and go all the way around anything that is cylindrical like that. So yes, if you needed to just like loop out a bunch of stuff, there you go. And notice here, so talking about that snapping, as I was extruding this out, it looks like it's going to clip, right? But as soon as I let go, it automatically detects those areas. And then from there, again, now I can come through here and say like, oh, now I want to add in some of my edge loops. Boom, done. And it's always snapping to that point. So again, come
Yep.
over, press and hold Alt to start extruding, let go of Alt and start tapping to get your single extrusion or your through loop. Let go, it'll detect that edge. Then with the space bar, just press and hold space bar to start creating a single loop. Let go of space bar to start creating multiple loops, and then that's going to wrap around the entire cylindrical spot, making it super easy for you to do that.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, so really, really simple, really easy to do. And again, it's all about just trying to make it as seamless as possible.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, trying to go through. How do you add the multiple edge loops on a face again? So yeah, I think I answered that, but I'll do it again. Again, just hover over the edge that you want, press and hold the space bar, add a single loop by just you're pressing the left mouse button or you're just clicking with your pen. And then as you're figuring out where you want that edge loop to be, let go of the space bar while still clicking on the tablet or with your mouse, and then just drag to the left or right or up and down. And then that's how you'll do multiple edge loops.
Yep. For the extrusion, if it's the extrusion that you mean, then it's while you're extruding, let go of Alt and click Control. Like that. Yeah. And then let go of Alt and then click Control, and you'll have that ability as well while you're in the temporary. And also, again, left and right, up and down, do different things. So the amount of edges that you're extruding versus the amount of edge loops that those new polygons are going to have, right?
Yeah.
It gives you total control over that. Yeah.
And I want to show something real quickly here. So I'm going to add this right here. So I'm going to add in about six faces, and then I'm going to go ahead and extrude this out and add 6 more faces. Notice that it remembers your last setting, and that is because what we want to do is have the ability to snap and kind of help close holes. So if you're extruding out and you have the same amount of connecting points, it's going to snap to all of that. And now fill that in. So again, you know, imagine you're coming through and you're doing something like this, then you're doing something like this, and you're like, oh, I need to connect this now. Well, just do Control and just get the single one, right? And then you can close things. But what if I want to close this? I don't want to do one after one after one. That's okay. Just grab the one, do Control, be like, oh, I need the 2 spots. Come in, fill that, making it really simple. So think about that's how you want to close your holes. So you want to be able to come through here and know that you can just quickly press Control, drag what you need, come in here and fill that spot up really, really quickly, right? So that's the idea here. So Control.
And even if it doesn't match, it's still gonna try its best to snap. So let's say you want a triangle somewhere on that edge loop. If you don't match them, it's going to try to snap at least the end point, and then you can basically tweak that on the go, right? And then just snap the points where you want them to make triangles, to make, you know, whatever type of different redirects that you want to do to your edge flow, right? So I saw a question here. I didn't wait. There it is. Is it possible to convert any mesh into a retopology mesh, like an extracted mesh? Can I take this one?
Yes.
I mean,
okay.
So
great question. Great question. Yes. So the thing here is, let's say I want to retopo a section of this dog, and I want to use some of the underlining mesh. So I'm going to go ahead and select this part right here. This is actually how I came up with that example so fast. I'll select this mesh here. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to Control-Shift-D duplicate. So I have an empty here. And then I'm going to come through here and I'm just going to delete hidden. So I'm just going to come down to the bottom, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. So now this one mesh right here, I have a dog here that is still complete. And then I have this little strip of mesh. So notice here at the very top, it's just a subtool. Let's bring that down a little bit. It's just a normal subtool. So when I go ahead and I have my Retopo brush, So now if I click anywhere, remember this menu that came up and said, do you want to create a new Retopo mesh? Well, I don't want a new Retopo mesh. I want to edit this existing mesh. So I'm going to say, no, convert this. And now this subtool got the orange box. The orange box is just to let you know that you've used that it's supporting the Retopo feature. That's all that's really doing for you. If you want to not have the orange box around it, then just duplicate it, and that gets rid of that orange box. But the orange box only tells you that that subtool used the Retopo brush. It's not really doing anything else with that. You can still export the subtool out as an OBJ, FBX, STL, etc., and use it accordingly. But because you've used the Retopo brush on it, it now just lets you know that you've done that, which is good because it takes advantage of all that features. And now notice I can just come over here and look, I can start extruding. I can just start doing it, and it's as easy as that. Also, deleting loops. If I wanted to delete a loop, I'm just going to go ahead and press and hold the Alt button and drag over a loop, and that will delete a loop that you have. So, really easy to just come through and start deleting loops. So yes, absolutely. Is it possible to make a hole with a knife brush? No, not exactly. That's what we use live boolean for that, because what the knife brush is doing is it's actually it's deleting, and then it's trying to create new clean topology and weld it, and holes are just too complicated for that. So use live boolean. That's the much better workflow for creating holes with anything. Plus, it's procedural, so you can actually change that hole position and size whenever you want.
And think about this, guys. The new, like the converting a mesh. Just think about the potential for that. Imagine using ZBrush here if you want to get something really quick that you don't really care about most of the topology. You just care about the edge loops, right? Do a ZBrush on your mesh and then convert that, like duplicate that, convert that, and use the retopology brush to tweak your edge flow, to tweak your edge loops, whatever you want to do. So it's more about like how this fit into the ecosystem that is already there for retopology. And I see the potential for that. I mean, there's also, again, as Ian showed, like you can extract pieces of other subtools that you have to create new topology, so you save a lot of time. But then if you have something like ZBrush under your tool belt, right? Or even decimation master, you can just decimate it if you want a triangulated mesh, and then use the retopology tool to tweak that, to make a few changes here and there, right? So manually reducing that decimated mesh or increasing, that is also something that you can do, right? Right. So can I take that one? I see a question from Abe Leal 3D. So it says, do points merge if dragged close together? I was actually going to cover this before the other question popped in. So again, my screen is just super small. I'm watching the stream now. It's really, really small. Sorry for that. So let me see if I can change this poly group. Maybe it will change something. Let's see. You guys see it a little better? Is it better?
We are, just so you know, we are at the hour mark so far. So
so basically, yeah, let me see if I can skip through this, like spit through this, just to go. Okay, so you have the ability, as we've showed before, to actually go ahead and move them and snap them together, right? Like this. And again, this draw size over here is controlling the amount of points that get moved. So it's kind of like self-selection. Think about it like self-selection. It's just the draw size that it's affecting that. The same way every other brush would get affected by the brush radius, even ZModeler, if you set it for that. If you set by brush radius, this is what it's happening, right? You're moving a point, and it's moving based on the brush size. So if I go really big, it's just moving that. Look at that topology dancing, like wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Look at that. And then if you don't want that to happen, this is something, again, leading on to that question, do points merge if drag close together? We have now, and you can see, if we go over here to our brush palette, and as long as we have the Retopo brush open, and go to our settings, and under the retopology settings, we have a bunch of settings over here. We have the ability to change that threshold for snapping. So if you don't want your points to merge, just slide this down to 0. And it's the same on the desktop, right? So you go to brush, and under your settings, you should see retopologize subpalette. The same thing goes for the adaptive draw size and move by draw size. So move by draw size is what I just showed you. So if I go over here now and move, you can see regardless of my brush size, it's moving one at a time, right? It's moving that. Actually, this is moving because I tapped Alt. And this is something else that I want to I want to show you guys. So if I move one edge and tap Alt, I can move the entire edge loop, and then tap Alt again, and I'm moving the poly loop complete, right? So this is also for moving. And if we had snap ability, it would snap, right? So, and then go, I mean, and accept polymesh. Okay, that's a different question. Now I'll get to it real quick. So yeah, so then if we go to the settings, this is basically that. It's changing the affected points by the draw size. And then focal shift obviously uses focal shift. The alt smooth is basically that thing I just showed you, where we are smoothing and then it will let go of the smoothing brush, and it's still not affecting the border. That's because this alt smooth is now turned off. If I turn that back on and I do this and I start smoothing and then let go, and you can see it's now affecting the border, which might be what we want, might not be what we want. It's up to you, right, as the artist. So coming into the, again, we're in the mark of the hour. There's so much more that we can show for this, that it's kind of crazy and limitless, and it's kind of that's kind of the point that we have here. I wanted to maybe jump back to you if you want to show them the patchwork on the desktop. It's the same, as you can see on the top. We have the patches on the iPad, same patches we have on the desktop we have on the iPad. So
Yeah,
it's all patch system.
absolutely. Yeah, let's cover the patch system. Before I do that, there was a question here that I'll cover real quick. Can the Retopo brush close an area like Blender's grid fill with like a quad patch? So actually, for any type of closing holes here, that's where the Alt extrude with the control function is going to come into play, because here we have this hole and I need to fill this. And so from here, I want to say like, oh, you know what? This is a 3x3. So I'm going to create exactly that. So I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to let go of Alt, press Control. Come up and down is going to give me my first column, and then to the left or right, it's going to give me my second row. So then I could just literally come in here and say like, okay, I need something like this. Let's do the other way. There we go, like that. Come in, and now it's going to automatically detect. It's going to snap and fill that for me. So this is actually going to fill that for me, giving me that closed hole patch. Now, on the topic of patches, we can connect these patches at the top into any type of mesh. So first, with the patch system here, we have our folders at the top. Creating the patches, the reason why we set this for last was because this is kind of a conversation on its own. These points that we draw out obviously are going to do a lot more than just sit here and create quads, right? What they can also do is a single patch can be attached to a single point. So let's come back in here. Let's go here to our quad fill 3x3 square. I can now drag this out by pressing and holding Alt and then dragging on that point. And now I can come in and be like, you know what? So say something like this. Now this is going to give me a preview. It's blue here, and that's just going to give me a preview for this and let me know where it's at. If I rotate, it's going to show me where it is. And then if I click anywhere on the mesh, it's now going to go ahead and snap to that. And then just, again, extruding and connecting these points is literally as simple as just coming in and doing the extrude with that Alt Control. And that allows me to create those points for you. Furthermore, though, let's go in a more complicated area. So let's come over to the pup's eyeball, because this is a really cool thought here. So yes. So let's say I want to create a point right here on this dog's eye, but I don't want to be sitting here creating like loops and then doing that stuff. That's okay. So let's come over to my circles over here, and let's actually find a decent patch. So we'll give them a decent sized one, a 16 segment circle. So I created a single point in the middle of that eye. There we go. Press and hold Alt, drag that patch out to cover the eye. And then as soon as I'm satisfied, I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now, notice that this is doing an okay job, kind of, like conforming, snapping to it. However, that's where it's like, well, I want to smooth that. So I'm just going to go ahead and smooth and get this set up into a place that's going to be a little bit more friendly. So let's smooth that. And then I can just come through, right? And now I can add in additional edge loops if I would like. So let's press and hold the space bar, let go, maybe add in a few different edge loops, and then I can smooth that down a little bit more. And now that's all going to snap right where I want it. And then I can continue working with that by pressing holding Alt and then tapping to get even more loops with the Alt key. So making it really, really simple and easy to do. So if we were to do this on the other side, or actually let's go back in time and let's say, you know what, actually, let's Alt tap that. Let's turn on symmetry because that's the beauty part about this brush is that it works symmetrically. We hadn't shown it. So I'm going to go ahead and just go make sure I press and hold Alt, drag this out, click that. Now it's symmetrical. Okay. And if I didn't like that, maybe the angle was a little weird. That's okay. Let's do that again. Let's grab that. Let's click that there. There we go. We can move this exactly, smooth it around. I'm smoothing aggressively, but to get the point, we can absolutely go ahead and place that wherever we need to. Just clean this up just a bit. And let's just move on with everything as we need it. So we can do things symmetrically, which is nice. So that's the main idea of the patch system. Now, moving on here just for a second, there's one other feature here that's really cool, and that is a lattice. So if we were to grab, let's just grab, I don't know, let's grab something a little interesting to look at. Here we go, a star. So if I were to click this, notice that the orange box is all over the place here. But if I tap the Alt button, I now get green boxes. And that green box here allows me to come in and add segment points, giving me a whole lattice system. So I can create this as dense as I want. And now I can start moving the mesh around my character using these external bars. So I can really start manipulating this as I need to. At any point in time, I can drop and change the control of that lattice by just clicking anywhere on the green line and drawing out new segments and say, so like maybe the segments, that's a little complicated. There we go. We'll do something like that. And then we'll do something like this. And then if I go ahead and click this, it's now going to go ahead and make those changes for me. So it's important to know that you have more control than just putting a point, holding Alt and dragging it out. I can hit Alt again, and then I could start creating a lattice system on top of that, making that a lot easier to control. And then pressing Tab when I'm done with that. So really simple. I do recommend right now, the brush is symmetrical, but if I were to add a point here, I want to do the lattice control where it's not symmetrical because it's going to try to place a secondary mesh there. It's going to try to duplicate it on both sides. So the lattice is asymmetrical, where everything else on the brush is symmetrical. So just know when you come in here and you're moving stuff, do this asymmetrically. And then you're good to go. But yeah, that's the patch system. And you can always make your own patches as well. But when you're just dragging out patches, that is symmetrical. So if I got this jawbone here, turn on symmetry, boom, Alt drag, get that jawline, and see now this is going to be symmetrical. Click that, and that's going to throw that there, being symmetrical on both sides. So you can Alt drag symmetrically. It's just the lattice that's asymmetrical.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, real quickly, just so you guys know, I'm going to share the playlist once more, just because this is a lot of information, and the stream is to kind of go a little bit more in depth with it. But if you're going to rewatch the stream, it can feel a little chaotic and overwhelming. So there is the playlist in the chat, so you guys can have that for future stuff, which is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. So let me just share my screen here real quick, because I got a question. There was a question there somewhere about the multi-cut kind of thing. So I've shifted to another screen, so hopefully you guys can see it better now. It's a little bigger, right?
And then
it's a different monitor.
And then real quick, we're going to move on to, we need to show photogrammetry still. So we're running a little over, so bear with us, guys. But yeah, we'll show photogrammetry and the quick function. So actually, Rodolfo, you have this, answer this, and then finish us off, buddy.
Yeah. So basically, well, I got this question. Let me see if I can find it real quick so I can highlight for everyone. It was something about, I forgot to star it, about the multi-cut tool. So basically, again, if you guys want to use something like the multi-cut, we already had that in ZModeler. So my combo, and this is something I wanted to show you guys, me as a games artist, this is going to be my combo now from now on. It's going to be located under here on my custom toolbar, or on the desktop is going to be a custom sub palette. And this is basically the Gizmo 3D, ZModeler, Retopo, the topology brush as well, right? and the ZModeler topology, which is basically ZModeler for retopology, right? And the idea is that then this in combination with something like a custom menu that has your Z-remesher, project history, or whatever, and the retopology brush is like a super powerful combination. And one of the things you can do to slice stuff up and actually to cut seams for UVs as well, right, is using ZModeler, and in your point actions, you change that to the crease, to slice, sorry. Where's the slice? Where's the slice? Oh, Jesus. Slice mesh, right? There it is. Slice mesh. And then your edge actions as well. So you change that to slice mesh. And then you go to your face actions and you go to, polygon actions, and you choose slice mesh. What this allows you to do is actually pick a point and then click anywhere on a mesh. And you can see you're basically cutting through the mesh. And this is super powerful. It's like you can click on one edge. Oh, come on. Let me just solo this out. You can click on one edge and then click on another. Wow, why is it not working? Okay, maybe let me turn this off, basically. Turn off the marker. Sometimes it does conflict with that. So if you go ahead and click on an edge, oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so you click on an edge, a face, or a point, and then you click another point or another face or another edge, and it's just cutting through your geometry and snapping and welding to any vert or edge that you have, right? So this in combination with something like the retopology brush, where I can now come in and start moving stuff around and actually fine-tuning my mesh, right, as I see fit, is super powerful, right? So we do have something like that. We already had that in the ZModeler, right? And now in conjunction with the retopology, and this is my point that I want to come across. It's not like it's a separate ecosystem that nobody's going to be able to, sorry, my camera was frozen again. Nobody's going to be able to understand because it's a separate, it's part of the ZBrush ecosystem. If you understand how ZBrush works as a whole, you'll be much more at home, and you'll probably understand how this fits in with the rest of the pipeline. Now, for photogrammetry, let's go back, right? I had a little video that I'm about to show you guys, because again, it's very hard for us to show photogrammetry on a stream. We would have to be outside, and we obviously, as 3D artists, we hate being outside and having, and touching grass. So what we can do, let me see, where is that? Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. So I'm going to show you guys the video real quick. And basically, I'm sorry, you're going to say something?
Yeah, sorry, real quick. Yeah, that slicing function that he showed with ZModeler is already there. That's been there since 2020, 2021 at least. It's been there a while. So yeah, like what Rodolfo was saying, just to double down on that, think of this in a sense of like, if you want to do a feature like that, it exists in ZModeler. And there was a previous question saying, can I combine ZModeler with the Retopo brush, go back and forth between the two? Absolutely, you can. That's the whole point, is to be able to do that. So where there's already features, just go ahead and throw that in there and then go back and forth. And that's what that orange box around the Retopo subtool is telling you, is that you can use the Retopo feature and anything else on there. So it's just an indicator for you visually to know that you've used the Retopo mesh on there. But anytime you want to use the Retopo mesh on any subtool moving forward, just touch that subtool and then say, no, don't convert a new mesh, just convert this mesh, and then you can move forward. So be careful with that with Dynamesh mesh. You don't want a Dynamesh mesh. That's too much. But you know what I mean? Any mesh that you're going to be retopoing and having clean topology on, this is it, guys. This is what we are now moving forward with, having something that's going to let you do that and do that really fast. My retopoing is usually pretty quick with other, Retopo tools that we've used, so, but this now, I get to stay in ZBrush, I get to play in ZBrush, I get to keep being there, and I get to retopo everything and move back and forth, so I don't have to leave ZBrush until I'm ready. So that all being said, yeah, let's go into photogrammetry.
Yeah, we have still a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to cover. So, all right, go ahead, my friend.
Just a quick answer to this question. The retopology subtools have accepted, or they already are regular. You don't need to accept anything. It's just tapping on the surface. It's a subtool. It's ready to go. You can export it. You can have that in your scene, in your render engine, your Unreal Engine, whatever you want. It's already done. It's your separate subtool. You don't need to accept anything. It's just tapping on the surface, right? So now moving on to photogrammetry. basically, this is the tutorial, right? The tutorial that you guys are probably seeing right now in the playlist. And Ian has been dropping that on the chat with a playlist for tutorials from the Getting Started series on the iPad. Basically, the photogrammetry is a mode that when you open up ZBrush, you see that below here, there's a capture button now, below New Sculpt. And once you click that, it's going to allow you to actually capture this on the fly. Let me just turn on the sound because it's confusing. And then as you go, you can tweak this box using these handles by covering the most area you can of your object, right? And obviously me as an environment artist, I'm a geek about trees and rocks, right? I'm boring like that. So I did a lot of trees and a lot of rocks to test this feature. And then once you've done that and you click start capturing, you're going to start generating a point cloud over here on the left-hand side, right? And on the right-hand side, sorry, my dyslexia. And then this little dial behind that model or below that model is showing these little lines over here. And these lines are basically telling how many pictures is basically your iPad's taking, right, of the model. And the more pictures you take, the better the result of that scan data. And now you can see over here that we have a first scan pass complete. And then we have to go through and do 2 or 3 scans, right? At least 100 pictures is what it's advisable. And obviously, ideally, you would flip the object from each scan. I can't flip a tree, not yet. I haven't turned Super Saiyan yet. But once I do, I will be able to flip a tree and then do a scan from the roots and all of that. Obviously, until then, what we do is then we take the same model and we capture it from a different angle. Now, going back to this now, let me just go over here. What we end up with is basically, let me just go to this other tool that I have over here. We end up with basically a mesh that has basically the picture data as a texture map, right? So we have color information as a texture map, and we have the ability, this is the raw scan over here, and you can see the results, pretty neat already. Most of this is texture data, obviously. And what we can do, if we want to convert those high frequency details onto something that is actually detail, sculptable detail, is that then we can do is basically go over to our geometry. We can start dividing our mesh, just divide it a couple of times, I don't know, like up to 1 million, 1.2, 4 million, something like that. And then you go down to your texture map, and you can see we have the texture map already with UVs over here. And what we need to do is actually clone this texture. So now it's part of our texture palette, right? Once we have this in our texture palette, we can go over here and click Make Alpha, right? So we go to the settings, the alpha settings, and the texture settings, and we make alpha. So now we have an alpha that's basically that converted texture map. And if we go to the displacement map, we turn on that displacement map, and you can see I already had that clone there. And you can see the amount of detail, the difference in high frequency detail that we get. Obviously, this is not real, like a real displacement map in the sense of like a height map, right? But it allows you to add that high frequency detail capture from the texture. And ZBrush does a pretty good job at converting a texture into depth sort of detail as an alpha, because it's being used as a brush, a driver for the brush system, right? So if it's driving the brush system, it's going to look at it sort of as it would look at a height map, and not as a mask per se, right? So it does a pretty good job, and you can turn on mode, right, in order to actually preview what the displaced mesh is going to look like, and you can tweak that. And once you apply that displacement map, it's actually going to displace that mesh, right? So I'm going to go to my display properties over here, turn on Quick Edit 3D, just so, because it turns it off by default, right, when you apply displacement maps. Then you do this, and if we turn off well, actually, we have this as a way to showcase the texture. So if you turn off the texture, you can see this is the final result of the scan. Now, one of the things that I did over here on the other I'm teasing you guys with the next feature I was going to show. Whoops. Let's go. So sorry, you didn't see that. Okay. So if we go back to my tool over here, what I was doing actually before our stream was that I was basically showing up a few different techniques where you do it step by step, right? You do the scan, you get your raw data, you apply your displacement maps, whatever, but then you need to start cleaning up, because you get a little bit of that ground mesh that you don't need, right? If you're doing like a game asset or something, you get a little bit of like the leaves baked into the texture, which also you don't want, right? Especially for the height map and displacement map. So basically what I did is I started with Dynamesh and just sculpted that part, right? And then using a mixture of extractor brushes, project history recall brush, and the original mesh, I was projecting all of that detail around the rock. Obviously, this was done really quickly because it's right before the stream, right? But you can see the result. We have an actual rock that doesn't have any ground mesh. It doesn't have any holes. And this is obviously a Dynamesh mesh. So what we then do is actually we split it into different polygroups, right? We tag and undo history, and then we remesh it using ZRemesher real quick. And using UV Master, you unwrap the UVs. And this is the stage where we were talking before, where you can go in with your retopology brush, for example, and start tweaking the edge flow of this, right? We can tweak the edge flow. We can actually remesh it even lower than this and then start remeshing it. And then what you do is you actually start dividing the mesh and reprojecting by history. And by projecting history, you get that poly paint back, because what you did initially that I forgot to say is that before we had a texture map, you can bake your texture map information into polypaint and then project it back here as polypaint. So polypaint is kind of like the bridge. It's kind of like you're putting a USB pen on your model, taking the data and then putting it on another PC, right? So transfer it to polypaint, and then over here with your final UVs, let's say, and your clean UVs, you can go ahead and bake that. You can go ahead to go to create and create new from polypaint. It's going to create a texture from the polypaint, right? So it's basically a way for you to transfer your scan data information, color, your geometry information from one mesh to another and have a clean result at the end of it, right? You can see we have proper quads that are sculptable. We have 5 million polygons over here, but we also have subdivisions, right? So this is all part, again, it's not just a single feature that is just there in a vacuum, right? In conjunction with everything else that we've been doing for ZBrush for the last few years, this is like incredibly powerful, right? This is the point I'm trying to make across, right? I'm trying to make this point that you guys have all of this already under your tool belt, and now with the retopology brush, and the scanning feature, this just goes to another level, right? And
real quick. Sorry, real quick. We failed to mention one thing. This is out. You guys can update this and play with this today. It's out as of now. That's why we're doing the stream. My bad.
Yeah,
no, it's out.
All right,
it's already out.
No, don't say that. It's a surprise. You can go get it now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It was completely premeditated.
No, for sure, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, it's out now, so you guys can go ahead and get it. I saw some questions come through in the chat in regard to some of the other features. I answered a few of them, but the IMM folder system is for IMM brushes currently. The VDM brushes or nano brushes are not at this time. So we're looking at that. And then somebody also asked about Substance Painter, ZBrush into Substance Painter, when that's coming. So again, that's something that's going to be discussed at a later date on. So we'll be talking about that later. This is just for what's released as of today. Yeah,
you guys have to be a little patient. We're doing a lot, right? There's a lot of stuff coming. You guys need to stay tuned and tune into our streams as well. We stream regularly on ZBrush Live, and every time there's something new, we go in and start streaming, and we show you in different examples on how you can use all these features, right? In our own workflows, because we're artists, right? We're here working for Maxon, but we're artists at the end of the day. We use these tools on a daily basis, right? So this is also something that I want to point out, right? You have all the access to all of these resources, from tutorials to our live streams. You can get in touch with us. You have support tickets. You have all of this, right? And it's just rocks and frogs. There you go. there's the reference. It's not going to go away, man, until next year, right? So another thing that I teased that I don't think we should skip at all. I know we're coming close to an hour and a half, guys, but bear with me, man. It feels like I'm on Red Bull. I promise you, I haven't drank any Red Bull, man. Like I'm just, it's all excitement. This is just excitement for the new features, right? So we have a little thing here. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but this over here is called the Quick Search, and this is like huge, especially as a former instructor myself, right? This is huge, man. If you want to show anything on ZBrush, and instead of having to dig through menus, you just tap this little button over here. Let me change my brush just because it's and if you're using an Apple keyboard, it doesn't show anything. But if you're not using an Apple keyboard and you tap that, you can see you have your virtual keyboard. Now, the issue here is that if I tap this, and let's say I search for Dynamesh, right? So if I go to Dynamesh, everything that has the word Dynamesh in the UI is going to appear, right? And this means that I can interact with it on the fly. I can change the Dynamesh close holes. I can click this. This is actually the sub palette, Dynamesh sub palette, right? This is the button. I can turn it on and off. I don't want to ruin my mesh over there. So let me just do that on a, I don't know, this weird experiment that I was doing. Look at this. It's just weird. So if I go over here and go like that, and we have Dynamesh, if I turn it on and off, you can turn it on and off directly under the quick search palette. Now, it also tells you over here, whoops. Uh-oh, there we go. It's just taking forever. I don't want to take forever. I don't want an actual Dynamesh. Let me just cancel that out. There we go. Turn it off. Okay. So you can also see that over here on the top, we have where it's actually located, right? And you also saw that I deleted my search and it still remembers the last two interactions that I had with it. So let's say now I'm searching for live Boolean. So live, oops, a daisy. Sorry, I'm holding my Apple Pencil all the time. So live Boolean, and you can see now we have live Boolean here. I can turn it on and off. And if I delete that search, now it will appear over here. So it does keep up with the history of everything that you've been searching. So let's say something a little more specific, like nanomesh. So now nanomesh, we have the create nanomesh brush, which is in the brush palette, actually. We have the tool nanomesh on. So under the sub palette nanomesh, which is under tool, we have nanomesh turning on and off, right? If we have any nanomesh mesh on the sub tool, right? And then we also have the actual sub palette over here in case you want to find the palette, the menu itself, right? You click that and it immediately takes you there, right? And this is a game changer, especially from an instructor point of view. You want to show something, you want to go, oh, you need to use this, and you don't know where it is. And even your students, maybe they forgot. You told them in class, and you know how students are. Like they always keep forgetting what you tell them in class. So in case you're watching this and you're an instructor, your students forgot. Now you have a quick search. You just search for the name, and you have everything that is basically named after your search, right? Just laying there for you.
Exactly. And real quick to clarify, just for everybody who's asking, yes, the search function is for iPad only at this time. And just to clarify too, because I see it going on in the chat about the UV editor and the UI and stuff like that, we sneak peeked what we're working on as a whole for the team coming into the next year at the summit. So if you're there and that's where you saw it from, so those features, the UV editor, the UI, that's all for desktop stuff. That's coming later. That's all we can really say on that. But the search function right now is only going to be on iPad for right now. But think too, like, again, kind of like what we said at the summit, there, what we're doing on iPad and desktop, there's going to be overlap at some point in time. So just so you guys are aware, just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it's all part of a bigger strategy, obviously, that we can really say anything else about it. But just, again, I told you guys, you need to be patient with us. You need to be a little patient. We're doing a lot of stuff. We're hustling. We're hustling here. We're trying to bring all the stuff that you've been asking. Be patient. Just accept me. I'm not patient. I just want to go crazy with this. Like
this is why people think you have a Red Bull problem.
I don't have a Red Bull problem. I swear to God, I only had one espresso today. And that's only because I'm Portuguese, okay? So in Portugal, that is nothing. That's like your morning breakfast thing.
What do you think is in here? What do you think is in here, buddy? It's not Red Bull. So cool. So no, this is really cool. Also, just real quick, just to finish this feature off, and then we're going to wrap up the stream. But if you're using a keyboard on the search function for the iPad, you can just tap up and down to quickly select it. Like, but you can also use the left or right arrow keys if you have if there's a slider that comes up. So if you were to look for a slider, scroll on down,
and a button, like live Boolean, for example,
and a button, like you can use that to toggle that stuff on and off. So for those who are using a keyboard, that's a really cool function. And like Rodolfo had mentioned, it remembers what you've searched for, so you get a little bit of a history. And actually, this feature is so cool. Even though, like, on the surface, I was like, "Cool, search." Like, literally, when the team showed us, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I love it." And then I just moved on. And then we were demoing. And then, like, as I'm practicing it, I'm literally using the search function all the time, even though I know where everything's at. I'm just like, give me this, and this. Then I went to a public build to showcase a training session. And in my brain, I missed the search function. So this is one of those, again, quality of life features that for me became way more powerful than I thought it was going to be, because it's just so much easier to be like, if you know what it's called, it's like, oh, I want a damn standard brush. Just
Yep.
type in the damn standard brush. Like sometimes it's a little bit easier depending on how you work.
Yep.
So it's also super function. This also gives you a way to where if you know something is, and then you're like, oh, like topology, like I need things with topology. You start typing topology, you might see functions or features that you didn't even know existed. And then you can be like, oh, what's that? So it's also a really great way to discover things too, not just necessarily go for the one thing that you're looking for.
Right. Exactly. So again, it's not just a teaching tool. I don't know. I'm sorry if that came across wrong, but it's not really just a teaching tool. It's just something that you help you navigate and learn more about ZBrush as well if you're learning.
Exactly.
Right. That's the point. Again, you can also just say, oh, I want to do UVs. Right. I don't know the name of the features, but I want UVs. I just typed in UV, and everything that has the wording UV on it, there you go. And now you have not only where in the menus they're located, but you also have the actual features over here. And again, because this is so handy, you don't need to customize your menu if you're doing something new. Let's say you've never worked with UVs before, so your custom menus will not have anything related to UVs. But let's say you're searching for stuff and you're like, okay, I want to go to the UV map, and I want to do I don't know, I want to change my UV map size. So I just tap that a little bit real quick. I want to use the UV master as well. So now if I go over here and I just delete my search, you can see my latest stuff that I've been messing around with are all there on the top, right over here, right? So that's pretty cool if you're just experimenting with a bunch of different features, right? And yeah, that's it. There's a few questions, right? There was a few questions.
I want to real quickly also give you guys one other, like, Rodolfo loves his rocks, and rocks are cool. Trust me, rocks are super cool. But I also want to give you guys a little something here too, which is, I'm gonna come in here for a second.
Hard surface.
Share. I'm gonna hide this for a second. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here just for a bit because I'm going to showcase. I'm working. I got computers here for days. Okay, so real quick, I want you guys to, and we showcase this a little bit. I want you to, if you guys do any type of traditional sculpting whatsoever. So this is my maquette that I had scanned in. And this was all in Chavant medium clay. This was a 22.5-inch maquette. And why is Rodolfo not here? Boop, there he is. Okay, so this is a maquette here. And so again, I scanned this whole thing. The original mesh, if we were to actually pull this in, come up here to my tool list. So I could take a look at here was my original scan for this. Again, had the whole bar and everything. And then I started doing the cleanup for it, giving me the actual maquette here too. So I want you guys to kind of like see the different ways you can do things, and also just don't think environments. Think like, oh, I made a statue, I made this, I made that. It allows you to do more than just rocks. So
dude, I'm gonna highlight this. I'm sorry. I have a whole audience backing me up here, man. I'm not in a minority anymore. There's environment artists in the chat. I can see them there. I understand your pain with other procedural software. You want to sculpt
for sure.
stuff. We hear you.
Yeah. But think about it too. Like if you have a shoe, like, oh, I need, like, if you have a shoe and you need to, like, I just need a quick shoe. And like Rodolfo said, when he was scanning in photogrammetry, you can scan the top of the shoe, then you can flip the shoe over, scan the bottom of the shoe, flip it back over, get all the right angles, bring it in. Now you have a shoe. And then you can just retopo that shoe or clean it up, whatever you want to do. But your character now has a shoe. So you can do props, you can do characters and stuff like that. If you're patient like me, you could try to scan your friend's head. So be like, hey, sit there for an hour and we're going to do this together. But it's a great way to just get into photogrammetry because, again, iPad has that LiDAR technology and it allows it to see depth information. And this makes it a lot simpler. Now, I will say, if you're new to photogrammetry, then you're probably going to do exactly what I did. And I'm going to grab my phone. But look, it has like a reflective surface and stuff like on that. Even in a professional rig of photogrammetry, anything reflective or super metallic or transparent does not scan well. So that's where baby powder comes into play. They have like photogrammetry reflector spray that you can get to like spray things down and then scan it. Like there's a whole workflow for that, even at professional levels. But what's cool here is that you have your iPad, you can just walk around and be like, I'm going to scan everything. So,
Yeah.
and this was one of those features that, again, like the team developed it and said, hey, what do you guys think of it? And I grabbed it, and then I spent the whole day in the office scanning everything. I was like,
Yeah.
let me see this. Like my colleague Grace, I was like, oh, you have cool stuff on your desk. Give me this, give me this. And I just started scanning stuff because it was like really a cool way. And so
Yeah.
I say that, like, if you are someone who like ever developed any type of like you know, creative block, or you're going through it, imposter syndrome a bit, you're like, I don't know what to create, go scan something, go scan it, play with that, get those creative juices flowing, scan more rocks. If you can get a
Yeah.
frog to hold still for 5 seconds, scan a frog. It's all good.
Or a frog, a rocky statue of a frog, like a granite statue of a frog, and then you
Yeah.
have both. There
Don't
you go.
spray your friends. That's a great message. Great
Yeah.
tip. Don't spray your friends. Yeah.
Again, guys, like me, for example, coming from fine art as well, this is like, it's not about getting just an accurate, true to life result immediately. It's also about it's basically, I want a quick something that I can just sculpt on top as well, right? And I can integrate this into my own workflow. For example, when I scan this rock, I can now make a collection of them based off of that scan, right? So this is the whole point. It's like, we're not here to just give you a one button that does it all, right? Because it's ZBrush. We're giving you the tools as the artist, so you guys can go to town and do what you do best, which is being creative, right? So the scanning feature is not supposed to be, okay, I just scanned this and there you go, put it in the game engine, it's done. Nobody does that unless you're doing very, very, very early previs kind of stuff, right? You want to use this as a sort of another sculpting tool. That's what I mean, right? It's just another sculpting tool to your arsenal that you can use to take advantage of the rest of the tools that we have there, right? And they're not a lot, and they're not few. So
exactly,
you know.
exactly. So anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it up for us. That was a lot. We understand that was a lot. So again, I just shared the playlist in the chat. I'll do it one more time. This is me spamming my own chat, but this is how important it is for us. We went through and we created a ton of tutorials. This was to kind of have a little bit more of an interaction with everybody and kind of like get these questions answered and so forth, and let you guys know you can start playing with this right now. But yes, absolutely. Go play with these features, download it, check out the tutorials, all that good jazz. Yes, I tried scanning my car. Again, why do you think I know about the reflective windows? It didn't come out very well. So I needed to, but it gave me ideas and things like that. And you know what? I mean, some of you guys know I am a car guy. And I can tell you right now, some of my friends I have talked to, we have actually 3D printed prototype body kits for their cars to go do things, because it's just cheaper to, you know, design things digitally, make a 3D print, then make a mold out of it. And this is what's so cool. If you guys are like, oh my God, I want to get into body kit creation, go scan your car, get a sense of what your car's shape is, then design off of that. There you go. Boom, there's another workflow. Easily a simple way to go do things and make things possible. And this is what we want you guys thinking about when you're playing with these new features. Like, oh my gosh, I can go ham now. I can go get something. I can scan this camera. I can scan this car. Again, do me a favor though. Please be safe when you're out in the wild scanning. Just like, you know, the Pokemon Go app told me one time. Be aware of your surroundings. Be careful.
Yeah, don't
make
fall
sure
in a
that,
river or something.
you know, all that good jazz. So, but we just really, these are features that we fell in love with on the team, and we're super excited to showcase it. So thank you all for being
here. You know, I'm gonna start scanning my Gundams. You know that, right? So
I expect
what
nothing less. The fact that you said I'm gonna start actually is like, I'm disappointed. You should have been doing that already.
I'm building a new one. I'm building an MGEX, right? I want to scan that, and it has a lot of details as well, so it's pretty cool, right? So scanning smaller scaled models and then sculpting them in ZBrush, making them true to life in terms of like scaling and detailing. It's also another idea, right? So again, me as an artist, I'm just going, you know, ideas around these features, right? And that's what we expect you guys to do as well. Just, oh wow, it starts like your brains should start to lit up, right, as you see these features coming together.
That's why we do these streams, man. We do these streams too because we wanna connect with you guys on that stuff. So, and also this is what it's like behind the scenes. Rodolfo, like, hey, can we scan this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go scan this too. And this is actually how I knew this feature was going to be cool, because like the team gave it to us, and immediately I was like, I have 100 things I want to go scan. So Anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Again, thanks for coming in, asking the questions, all that good jazz. We're really excited for it. Hopefully, you guys as well. My name's Ian Robinson. This is Rodolfo Silva, and it's been a pleasure. So you can always catch us when we do streams and so forth. So, yeah. When do you stream, buddy? When's your stream dates?
Usually my stream dates are on Thursday. Thursday is my day, my slot. I haven't been able to stream lately because, you know, like it's been kind of crazy with the release and all of that. And
Yeah.
but I will go back, and I'm trying to go and book in a time this month. I'm going to do that, and I'll announce it on my socials for sure, 100%.
Sweet.
And
Same. Yeah, I do Wednesdays usually, but it's been crazy with the release. So anyway, but we'll have a stream coming up soon. So, all right, guys, that's it.
All right.
Final word. Bye.
Mwah.